At 9.
So we're looking at the actual imprint of the knife where the killer folded the pants, went like this.
It could be a key piece of evidence in a year-old murder. So why didn't police have it? In a WGN exclusive, a grieving family says officers rushed to judgment when they arrested a father for killing his son. Good evening, I'm Micah Mater.
And I'm Mark Sapelsa. Our top story seen around the country on WGN America. After a gruesome murder in a quiet north suburb, Henry Coe and his family are talking to WGN's Tom Negaman. Tom.
That's right, Mark and Micah. Paul Coe was laid to rest 1 year ago today. His father has spent that time behind bars. Police and prosecutors say he confessed to murder. Coe's family calls it, as you said, a tragic rush to judgment. Now a warning. Some of the crime scene photos are disturbing. Friends and family marked the 1 year anniversary of Paul Coe's murder with a prayer service at his grave. But there's one member of the family who can't be here. Henry Coe is in the county lockup on a $5 million bond, charged with his son's killing.
And just to see him and leave him in there, you know, knowing that he would never do anything like that, and then knowing that the people who really did do that are somewhere out there.
The people died over here. Somebody killed over here.
Somebody was killed over there?
Oh, my God, my son.
That's Henry making the 911 call to report the murder. 22-year-old Paul Coe's throat was viciously slashed. He had an array of stab wounds, half a dozen in a circle around his heart. Defensive wounds on his hands.
I mean, he was in a fight, and a big one.
If he was in a fight with his father, the much smaller Henry Coe didn't look like it. The 56-year-old didn't seem to have a mark on him when he was brought to the Northbrook Police Department the morning of the murder and allegedly confessed.
We wanted to talk about what happened last night, okay?
The interview, released to WGN by his defense team, goes on for hours.
Who had the knife? Who had it, Hung Suk? How did he get the knife? Did you guys argue in the kitchen? Was the argument in the kitchen? Were you arguing about
Henry says he was tired, confused, grieving.
Hung Suk, I know you did it. I know you did. You did. Yes, you did it, Hung Suk. And I know that, and I need to know why you did it.
Today, Henry says he never confessed, and he denies killing his son. You know what the police say you've done?
Yeah, I remember that.
Did you confess to killing Paul?
No. What they make is this, they make a story.
In a new motion to dismiss the charges, Coe's attorney says police created a story complete with motive, that a fight started when Paul broke his curfew. He also accuses police of destroying, contaminating, and/or failing to preserve material evidence from the crime scene. Like this pair of pants seen in several evidence photos with a very distinct blood stain. It looks like the killer used them to wipe off the murder weapon. Yet they were never preserved as evidence. Instead, they were left at the scene, only to be found months later by investigators working for the defense.
So we're looking at the actual imprint of the knife where the killer folded the pants, went like this.
If police left these pants, a DNA expert says it's not just a mistake, it's a big one.
To have left an item of evidence there is definitely an error from the scene investigator's point of view.
This is independent forensics in Hillside, the only private DNA lab in the state. It found Henry Coe's DNA isn't on any of the evidence collected from the crime scene, but someone else's DNA is, a person who has never been identified. A few feet from where her son was butchered, Un-Suk Coe, through an interpreter, talks about her husband, a religious man, a postal worker, who came from South Korea nearly 3 decades ago to raise a family in America.
We pray hard because, God, you know what happened. You saw what happened that night. I don't think I have strong issues.
See, Paul had been getting into trouble. There had been indications of drug dealing around the home the family says police never fully explored. And exactly 1 week before he was killed, Paul had signed this contract with his parents, promising to turn his troubled life around. So why, they ask, would a father choose that time, of all times, to kill his son?
I don't think the police ever cared about anyone else. They made up their minds right from the start. This is the guy.
A guy who came from Korea to pursue the American dream, who never dreamed of the way it would turn out.
So I'm scared. Look at the blood. I called the 911. And then what they saying is, I did. How come I did?
Prosecutors say the reason is that Henry Coe admitted to it. And while his family may have a lot of questions, police and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office are standing by their case, saying, and we want to be very clear on their position too, that they conducted a thorough and complete investigation. The motion to dismiss the charges is still before the courts. And guys, this goes back before a judge actually next week.
I'm sure you'll have a follow-up. Thank you very much, Tom.